You're listening to the One Man Show Network.
Welcome to the MMA Fight Picks Podcast with your host, Aaron Weinbaum.
Hey kids, and welcome to the MMA Fight Picks Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Weinbaum, and if you are listening on YouTube, feel free to hit subscribe. If you're listening live on Periscope, feel free to jump in because I am picking fights for Cerrone versus Gaethje, which takes place this Saturday, September 14th in Vancouver, British Columbia at the Rogers Arena. Unfortunately, I won't be watching the fight. I will be at a football game at Mizzou, the University of Missouri, Columbia, with my daughter who goes to school there. But I'm going to try not to hit the spoilers because I'm going to watch that thing as soon as I possibly can. All right. First up on the card, we got Misha Cirkunov versus Jimmy Crute. Let's take a look at Misha here. He had that brutal knockout loss to Johnny Walker. Before that, he's got wins. A win over Patrick Cummings, a loss over Glover Teixeira, a loss over Volkan Oezdemir. All right, let's take a look at Jimmy Crute here. I think it's safe to say that Misha Cirkunov has not delivered in the manner which we thought he would in the UFC. But taking a look at Jimmy Crute here, just beat Sam Alvey in February, beat Paul Craig, beat Chris Bircher. Yeah. I got to tell you here, this is I know this is set up the way it is set up. You know, it's hard to count out Misha as long as he's got his life straight and this and that, but at the same time, I don't see it. I think Jimmy's on an upswing. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Misha wins this fight, and I hate backpedaling here, but I think that Jimmy, I got Jimmy Crute on this one for sure. All right, next up on the card, Uriah Hall versus Antonio Carlos Jr. I always want to say Antonio Sabato Jr., and those of you that have been around as long as me will get that reference. Some of you won't, so it's cool. It is what it is. Let's take a look at the great Uriah Hall. I'm a fan of Uriah Hall, but he tends to lose the big fights. He just last won against Bivon Lewis. He just lost to Paulo Costa, who I think is probably the next coming in the middleweight division. A win over Jocko, I picked against him in that one. That would be way back in 2017 in Pittsburgh at a card I was at. Before that, 3 losses in a row, way back in 2016. So I don't think it mattered. But then you got Antonio Carlos Jr. Lost to Ian Hines. Lots of people do, but he's got some big wins here. Tim Bosch is no joke. Jack Marshman, Eric Spicely is no joke. He does have a weird loss to Judo Dan Kelly way back in 2016. Yeah, this is a tough one for me to pick. I think this is kind of do or die for Uriah Hall. I think this determines whether or not he ever competes in the top echelon of the UFC ever again. Is he going to be a journeyman or what? But, this is tough. Man, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble. I think that Antonio Carlos Jr. is going to come back hungry after that loss. After that loss to Ian Hines. I think he's going to beat Uriah Hall, and I don't know what the odds have it. I never go with the odds. Like, this is a fanalist point of view here. This is from a fan. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Antonio Carlos Jr. here. All right, Todd Duffee, the Duff Man, after a long layoff, going up against, Jeff Hughes. And, what's his nickname here? I can't even find it. It's a SureDog thing. So when you're not on Wikipedia and you're on SureDog, it's not usually, doesn't usually bode well for you. But we'll see here because Duffee has had a long layoff. Let's just take a look at that. I mean, he hasn't been in the octagon since July of 2015, where he lost to Frank Mir. Before that, he's got 3 wins in a row. Anthony Hamilton, Philip DeFries, Neil Grove. That's 2014, man. Let's take a look at Jeff Hughes here. He did just recently lose to Maurice Green. So by decision, a split decision, albeit. Before that, he wins on the Dana White Contender Series. But he has a win over Maurice Green too, which is weird. Back in LFA. Before that, just lots and lots of wins. Yeah, this is tough, man, because Duffee's had a long layoff. I think they're going to bring in Jeff to beat him, but I am going to pick. I'm in the mood for picking the upsets tonight. I'm going to pick Jeff. He's not supposed to win. I think they want Duffee. You know, he's a big, hulking guy. If he had a win streak together, he'd certainly contend for the belt, you know, just because he's got that look. But I'm going to go with Jeff Hughes here, for sure. All right, next up, Glover Teixeira, Nikita Krylov. Nikita, let's take a look at him real quick before we get into Teixeira. He submitted OSP back in April. Before that, he loses to Jan Blachowicz, who I believe is not fighting John Jones for the title. I think there is some fight news there. He's fighting Jacare Souza. What? Crazy. He's got a win over the great Fabio Maldonado, Emmanuel Newton, back in, 2017. Okay, all right. So, but he has a loss to Misha Cirkunov. So let's take a look at Glover here. He's quietly won 2 in a row. Ian Kuchabella, Carl Robertson. Before that, he loses to Corey Anderson. He wins against Misha Cirkunov. You can do some MMA math here and say that Glover wins this fight because of that, but I'm not going to. He loses to Alexander Gustafsson. Wins against Jared Cannonier. Loses to Anthony Johnson. When he gets to the top tier here, it's hard. This is hard to pick, man, because Nikita's got the. You know what? He's got that win over Jan Blachowicz, which is he's kind of the hot name right now. But he's the hot name because he beat a middleweight in Luke Rockhold. He proved that coming up to light heavyweight did not solve his problems. This is not like an Anthony Lionheart Smith or a Thiago Santos situation. So, this is tough, but I am going to go with Nikita Krylov here. Why not? Next up, the main event of the evening. Donald Cowboy Cerrone against Justin Gaethje. Man, let's take a look at this. Number one, I'm going to go just his most recent fights here at lightweight. He comes down and just beats the brakes off of Alex Hernandez, okay? Round 2, back in January 2019, okay? He has fought 3 times already in 2019. This will be his 4th fight, okay? Now, he does take some time off between then and fights Al Iaquinta, where he does get a decision. A unanimous decision. He did beat him in that fight. And no one's a bigger Al Iaquinta fan than me. But what people don't talk about is, even though he beat Al Iaquinta, he got cracked several times. So then you go back to June. He fights Tony Ferguson. Now, a month later, from May 4th to June 8th, I did not like this fight. I think a full camp Cerrone beats Tony Ferguson. I do. A full camp rested in between fights Cerrone, but Al even said today on Chael Sonnen's podcast, he's like, when he watched Cowboy fight Tony Ferguson on TV, Al was still hurting from that fight a month ago. Like, he still had bruises on his legs, or not bruises, but, they still hurt. So it's really strange to me that, they're throwing him back in here like this, and he cuts a lot of weight. He has been cracked. He's been frequent. I know being frequent has helped him in the past, but he's older now. How old is he? Yeah, he's 36, man. So you got to think that much activity, that much cutting weight, that much getting cracked. It's not good for him. So, and he could probably, like I said, full camp Cerrone wins against the great Tony Ferguson. Now, let's go to Justin Gaethje's last 2 wins. Okay, everyone's so high on Gaethje, but let's be clear. He's only won 2 in a row. Edson Barboza, James Vick. And I love James Vick. He didn't need to be fighting at 155 pounds. He was getting knocked out. He got beat by Paul Felder. He got knocked out his last fight. Let's see. Who did he win or lose against his last fight here? James Vick lost against, Dan Hooker, KO, who's fighting Ally Quinta. So, yeah. Before that, he has 2 losses in a row to the tops in the division, Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez, and he does have a win against Michael Johnson in one of his stand-and trade wars here. Even though I think Cerrone's got the more impressive resume, I don't like the frequency he's been taking these fights. I don't like the damage he's been taking. His face looked like a balloon. So, going Gaethje. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know if he stops him. It's hard to stop Cerrone. But Gaethje has done his homework and has watched Cerrone's lightweight fights. Body, boom. Early on in the fight. And, yeah, that's it. I hate doing these later at night. Nobody said hi here on the Periscope. I got you. Oh, someone did. Hey, Dave. What's up, buddy? I missed you. Man, these comments don't come up like they should. Sorry, Dave. Irish MMA 84. One of my buddies, a frequent listener to the podcast, frequent guest on the podcast. And check him out on, he's everywhere, man. But rockfin.com for sure. Look up Dave McGrath. And until next time, I think I'm going to call it. Yep, I am going to call it. Shalom.
Please remember to support the podcast by visiting the affiliate links on AaronSaysWhat.com.